Hello and welcome to another episode of Back to the Burgh. My guest today is a Shenango, PA native who started a podcasting empire in Pittsburgh, even though he lives in Jacksonville, Florida now. He's the host of North Shore 9 and one of the founders of the Pod Hub Network. Please welcome Anthony DiNardo. DiNardo, how you doing, man?
Well, I mean, after a long day running the empire, it's, a bit tiring, but I made some time for you, Cody.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Of course. Got to keep it short, though. I got to meet up with Joe Budden here in a minute.
All right. I hear you. So let's get into it. You're from Shenango, and you actually got a guest for me before, Terry Grissetti. So what was it like growing up in Shenango around Terry Grissetti, all those people, your crew? What did you guys do?
Well, so it's kind of funny though. I grew up Terry and I hung out here and there, mainly played basketball.
Yeah.
But he was actually, 4 years younger than me. So we never, he and I really hung out. But of course I knew him. We played basketball quite a bit. We didn't live too far away. And he and I are probably the same mentality. You could always find us at a basketball court somewhere.
Yeah.
But me growing up in Shenango, I'll put it this way. I was born in New Jersey. I lived there for 7 years. I moved to Pennsylvania
you were born
afterwards. Here? Oh yeah, here.
Yeah.
That's right. I was actually born in New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Oh, not here.
Lived in Piscataway for quite a bit. And then when I was 7 is when I moved to Pennsylvania. Now my mom's from Pennsylvania. My dad's from New Jersey. I was born there, but I always consider myself, I grew up in Pennsylvania. That's what I knew.
Yeah.
And what I'll say to that as well is when all you know is Newcastle, Pennsylvania, I guess you don't realize how deprived of you are of things, there's stuff that you actually can do.
Yeah.
I mentioned I grew up playing I love basketball. My a funny story. It's true too. My mom actually grounded me because I sprained my ankle and I wouldn't stop playing and I kept spraining it. So she grounded me. Therefore I would not be able to play basketball anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, we created fun. And, it's funny, the stupid stuff we would do, I swear, I always had a camcorder on me.
Yeah.
And we would go out. We had videotapes of stuff you wouldn't even believe. I mean, how many
man.
We have people clearly as a DUI, golf carts are running around on this totally tricked out golf cart, interviewed him, all kinds of stuff. It's kind of, not to make, it was a sensitive subject at the time, but we're dumb and young. When 9/11 happened, there was actually the DA, the news was all up in this neighborhood nearby because I guess they found flight plans in this person's house. Well, my friend called me up and he was like, DiNardo, where's the camcorder? And I was at SRU at the time, Slippery Rock, my first year of school there. And I was like, I don't have it. It's at my parents'. They drove to my parents' house, got the camcorder, went there. He was going to YSU at the time, used fake credentials, was asking questions. He's actually on KDKA asking questions to the DA. So
that's awesome.
That kind of encompasses exactly what I'm talking about. You had to create fun when you grew up in Newcastle. And that's definitely what we did.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, the first comment I have to make is I keep catching you guys, my guests, years between each other because Grissetti was the first one. Then I just interviewed Derek Moy. And I was like, oh, so did you play with Revis and Grissetti? He's like, oh no, they're 3 years, I think he said, older than him.
Yeah.
And then you're 4 years, he's 4 years younger than you. At least Grissetti is. And then so I can't keep you guys straight. You old guys.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
But
call me out, Cody.
Hey, it's a young man's game. I just got to keep you on your toes.
There you
go. So what was my next question? Oh, the whole 9/11 thing. I feel that's a whole generational thing of content wise. You got to find the content. I've had people, alumni from my college, tell me hey, you need to be on the street every day finding a story. That's how you're going to get a job. And then that's how you guys had fun, was finding a story, it seems like.
I guess. Like I said, young, dumb. That was it. Nothing intentional. But I guess now here I am doing this stuff.
So still talking about your childhood into high school. what sports were you into? Obviously, you mentioned basketball. Was that the only sport that you played?
You know, it's funny. I mean, when I was younger, I played baseball.
Okay.
And as you introduced me, you know, the co-host of the North Shore Nine, right? A Pirates baseball podcast. I hated baseball. I hated it, dude. I played it all through 6th grade. And this will tie into like the basketball part as well. I was not gifted with athletic prowess, not at all. All right. And like, I mean, as I got older, it came more to me, but as young as I was, it was awful. So I played through 6th grade, didn't do much. I hated sitting on the bench. And like when I was going to 7th grade, that's kind of where I like made the move. Like, all right, well, what do I really want to do? You know, and basketball, what like really, really excited me. I loved basketball. I'm like, why am I going to sit here on the bench playing baseball, not doing anything? And even when I do play baseball, I just stand in the grass or the dirt and just stand there, not doing anything. You know what I mean? Like basketball is fast paced. It was fun. It's exciting. I grew up as a Sonics fan. Gary Payton, Sean Kemp. You know, I love the Sonics. Love basketball, the Jordan era. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to focus and stick to basketball. So that's really, like I said, like the high school career, still again, right? Wasn't the most athletic person in the world. I was the guy that, I mean, I was a forward. It was kind of like by default, you know, I was the tallest on the team. It's a small school. So at 6'3", like you're the big man, you know, like meanwhile, I'm a point guard in college. So, but I was the dude that like, you know, you throw the pass to me and sometimes I'd catch it. Sometimes my hand said, you know what, you're not coordinated enough to catch it right now. But yeah, like basketball, I loved. I liked watching football. I liked playing it like in the backyard and stuff, but I was never like, let's play it for the team. And part of that also was, again, just the basketball thing. Like that was my love. That was my passion. And I don't want anything to take away from it. So like, I don't want to go play football and say maybe I get hurt and now I can't play basketball. So yeah, like basketball is really what I stuck with through high school. Like that was it.
Gotcha. So speaking of basketball, you're a basketball guy. I remember we would have some back and forth in the Twitter DMs, and you tweeted me or you DM'd me a tweet from the LCAA.
Oh God.
That I don't even know what the LCAA is. So you're going to explain that. And it said that you were a record holder for blocks in a game. I believe it was 14. So just explain what the LCAA is.
Okay.
And then let's explain how good you were at defense.
Exposing the DMs. It was sent to you in a facetious manner. But anyways, yeah. So I joke about this here and there. The LCAA, now it's funny you say that because I don't even know what it stands for actually. I believe it's Lawrence County, like Athletic Association, something like that. I don't know.
That makes sense.
Anyways, it was right after I graduated high school, and a friend of mine, I guess he knew of the league and such, and he was like, you know, I want to get a team. He told me about it, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. But it was just us two. Like we didn't know anyone else. Someone else wanted to get into it. So apparently they had something where it's like, you know, all the people that wanted to play but didn't have a team, like it could join this one team. So it was like a bunch of misfits that didn't know each other, right?
Yeah.
So I'm here playing on this team, having some fun. Don't know anyone. And that's always kind of like, oddly enough, the shyer kid in high school. So I didn't know these people. And I was like, you know, I mean, you guys, there was like more of them that knew each other. So they're kind of doing their thing. And it was like maybe, I don't know, like the 5th game of the season. And Mohawk, the team nearby, they actually had like, what they did is they put a team in the league. So like their high school team was in the league. So we're playing them. And, you know, I didn't even start like I normally don't. But just somehow or another we're playing. And like I knew I was blocking the shit out of everyone. I can swear on here?
Yeah, you can swear on here.
Okay, good. So I was blocking the shit out of everyone, right? And it was kind of it was cool. It was a good feeling. And like I remember like towards the end, I just took myself out. I was like, hey, come play or whatever. And when I was standing out there, you know, Dave Stamble's the one that runs it. He turned to me and he's like, why are you out of the game? And I was like, I don't know, because I'm done. We're killing this team. Like it's over with. Like, you know, come out. I'm kind of tired.
I'm tired.
And he's like, you know, you're 2 points away from a triple double, right? I was like, no. He's like, yeah. He's like, your ass better get back in that game. So I was like, okay. So I get in there, and of course, like I got fouled, and that's how I got a triple double. I'm trying to think because like you would think it'd be the reverse way, but I think it was 11 points. No, it was 10 points, 11 rebounds, and 14 blocks.
Wow.
So yeah, that's the highlight of my my career.
Just messed around and got a triple-double.
Just messed around, got a triple-double. I mean, it was, like I said, it was cool. That was something I always like pride myself on defense and like blocking people. No, there's nothing better than blocking someone in my mind.
Yeah, no, I would agree.
I actually
Never
like
done it, but
people will not even know this, but on on our shoes in high school, the shoes we had, they had actually like little stars like imprinted onto them.
okay.
And every block I got, I colored in a star.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
if you want to know how much blocks meant to me, that was why.
That's pretty awesome. All right, so let's get into you went to SRU, Slippery Rock, the Slimy Pebble. You went there for 1 year.
Yeah.
You decided not to continue your college career. What went into that decision?
For those of you that love college, right? You're doing something in college, it's great. Don't listen to this. For the other people, college sucks and it's dumb. And then you're put in Slippery Rock, which is like the worst college I've ever seen. And you know what? Speaking of, no, sorry, Terry, I guess, because you did go there. I hated that piece of shit. It's the worst color green I've ever seen. And that's all you see. And I swear it has its own, seriously, like its own climate. Yeah. When you're outside of Slippery Rock, the weather can be nice. As soon as you go in Slippery Rock, it's windy, it's cloudy, it's about 5 degrees colder. It's just, in my mind, and some people love it and some people have fun, I was so depressed there.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I met my future wife there. So, like, I mean, come on. Like, it was a terrible experience. But yeah, I honestly, like, school just wasn't for me, you know? And I think part of it was just I was not mature enough. I wasn't ready. I hated school. I hated studying. And it wasn't like I was lazy in that sense. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, if I'm doing something I like, you know, like obviously the network, the podcasting, you know, I'm not lazy. I love doing stuff, but I have to like it. And I hated school. So yeah, I went there 1 year and I'm like, this ain't it. So
yeah, no, like I had that same conversation with Tyler and Zach, and they basically said the same thing. It's like, why waste the money on something you're not really into, you know?
And what a waste it was.
Yeah, like I agree.
My mom
with that.
still reminds me to this day.
Oh, really? My dad, he keeps telling me, he's like, hey, you got to get that piece of paper. And I got it. And I'm like, you know, I feel like I could have done this without it, but okay.
Yeah. And that's why I say that. I mean, I will never tell anyone not to go to school, hold them back, but it's just like, man, you see so many people like doing stuff that doesn't really require a degree, you know, or they get the degree and they spend all that time like focusing on this and then they're doing something else out there that has nothing to do with it, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Especially, I mean, Slippery Rock and teaching degrees. So,
yeah. So let's get into, how did you get into podcasting then? Was that your first career choice outside of school? So what led up?
I hope not, because that was a long time there. So man, I was really bumming it.
What led up to you?
You know what's funny about the whole podcasting thing? So the group of friends down now, I live in Jacksonville, Florida now, as you kind of alluded to. I grew up in Pennsylvania. I moved down here when I was 23. Met some really cool people. Have a really cool group of friends, very diverse group of friends, and we always have had like a messaging app too for a while. I mean, it was Disco. You got GroupMe now. There was something before Disco even, and I swear, like, there was this other kid who we're not really good friends with anymore, but him and I would always go back and forth and things. And now he was like the Yankees fan. I was the Pirates fan. So you had like, you know, in baseball world, like the Yankees, the big bad Yankees, the underdog Pirates, you know, big market Yankees, small market Pirates. They had different viewpoints, even on football, everything. Like he and I were always going back and forth. And then like a few of my friends, especially like Geddes, if you know Geddes or not, I'll mention him on the show. You know, they're always like, you guys need to like do something. Like you should have a show. You should have this, whatever. You know how things are. Yeah. Right. But no, nothing ever happens. Right. I swear to you. So one day my friend Geddes bought equipment. And if you know anything about Geddes, he's all into production. He's all into electronics. You know, he actually, you know, worked at Best Buy. You know, he was going through school. I mean, he knows stuff. So I'm not talking about he bought a mic, you know, that was like $55 on Amazon. I mean, he bought like hundreds of dollars worth of equipment.
Wow.
And said, you two are doing a podcast. Now, when that happens, you know, like it's all jokes and laughter at first. But like when someone does that, now you feel like obligated to. Like, oh man, like you spent all this money. I can't tell you no. So we started this podcast, which by the way, It's technically out there on Closer still, or on SoundCloud still. Don't listen to it. It's called The Closers. It was garbage. It's terrible. But that was like my first taste of podcasting. And so, it didn't really go anywhere. The one friend I talked about, kind of quit it, left it. But I still felt kind of obligated to a sense. Like, you still spend all this money. But also I started I got that itch a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, you know what? This sucked, but it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, I know we can't have the same show because my friend Geddes, who is the producer of it, doesn't know anything about baseball. Like, nothing at all, which kind of made it funny because we made fun of him. He's on there. But I was like, I have an idea. You don't know anything, and that's great. I know something about baseball. We'll kind of spin off, and that's how DiNardo's Dugout came about.
Yeah.
So I had a podcast called DiNardo's Dugout that was running a little bit. And then shortly after that, my friend Ryan Alexander approached me. He's like, hey, think about starting like a Pirates blog. Do you want to join? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we started. That starts the North Shore 9, as you know it today, was a blog, but it carried over to podcasting. And like I said, it's just been like this progressive growth. We started like in 2015 with the Closers, I believe 15 or 14 actually. And, again, you just kind of grow. And I love it. I love the aspect. And now we're into like streaming and different stuff too. So, it's funny because part of me is like, I should have done this so much longer ago. Like we could have for how many years we're like, you guys should do this. And it's like, we really could have. And for other people out there, it's just like, if you want to do something, just do it. Because now, like I said, how much I do love and enjoy this, I could have been doing this forever.
Yeah.
And now I'm the old man, as you joke about, doing it.
Yep. But yeah, like I feel like you and Ryan, for the Pittsburgh market at least, you guys kind of set a path. Like you opened the gates almost, and like was like, hey, we might be talking about the Pirates, and they may be kind of bad.
Yeah.
But hey, you can talk about whatever you want, and people are going to listen, and people are going to follow.
Well, I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, setting the market, that's some big praise. I don't know if we did that, but I mean, that was
for my circle of friends.
Okay. Well, I'll take that. But I will say that was part of my demands coming on the North Shore 9 when he wanted to blog. I was like, we will do a podcast though. And he was like, okay, we'll do one. So, and it's funny because that's basically what it turned into. Like, we stopped the blog completely. He and I both realized writing was dying. It's boring. It's a lot of work for like the return of investment per se. That it's just so much easier to get on a mic and let's do a show. So,
yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. Although I do enjoy writing.
Oh, well, see, that's the thing too. Like he actually went to school for that. He was a journalist.
Oh, okay. I
was the kid that dropped out of school. So I was, now mind you, I mean, I wasn't dumb by any means. And I mean, I did write stuff. It's funny too. I'm going off tangents here, but I don't care. It's my show and I'll interview however I want. Yeah. So I remember going back, speaking of like college, right? Like now that I was writing stuff, I remember I went home once and my mom had all my old like college papers still and stuff. Man, was I trash. It was so funny. The stuff I would read, and like, I don't take myself as a scholar by any means. I mean, I would write well enough, but by no means do I write well. But it was just funny, like now that I'm writing for a blog per se and stuff, when I go home and read the stuff, I was like, this isn't even like a complete sentence. This is like 3 sentences all in one. Like, what the hell was I doing back then? So I guess that, again, explains my college days. That's why I didn't return. But yeah, like I said, I never loved writing at all, but I definitely love doing this.
Yeah, no. So it was a lot easier to put the college dropout in front of a mic instead of telling him to write.
Hey, speak of the college, just call me Kanye. That's all.
There you go.
Put me in front of a mic, right? The college dropout.
Yep. I love it.
Right there. There he is.
Oh, there it is. I didn't even notice that back there.
Yeah. Well, that's not actually the college dropout, but speaking of Kanye.
All right. So North Shore 9 progresses, right? And then whenever I started to like find you guys, I guess, on social was whenever you guys were starting to do like the live shows from outside of PNC Park. What were those like?
They were really fun. So you mentioned also like about me living in Jacksonville, having a Pittsburgh network per se, right? Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have a lot of ties in Pittsburgh, obviously. Covering the Pirates, it's part of it. But as far as like my Twitter game, and everything. It's like really everything's Pittsburgh based. And the one downfall with having the North Shore 9, obviously, is me living here.
Yeah.
So I would do a live podcast probably every other week if I could, there. I think it's great. And, we kind of had that idea. It's like, as we started progressing, right, and actually have people listening to us, it was like, why don't we do something like that? It sounds pretty cool. And we did our first one. We had no expectations. I mean, nobody could show up. Who knows? And if nobody shows up, like, how embarrassing is that going to be? So we do our first one. And I feel like we marketed, like we pumped up for like 2 months to try to hope like people come.
Yeah.
And like it was really cool because not only like you just there outside of a game podcasting, it was like the first time that we could say we actually met the people we talked to on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's one thing when you engage on Twitter, talk back and forth, much like you and I, but like when you actually meet the person face to face, have a real conversation, something tangible, that was a really, really cool experience. And, that just set off even more like, okay, we got to definitely do this more and more because it was fun for us. I felt like it was fun for everyone else, and started like, those people are meeting each other too at the same, like you're bringing all those people together as well, not just you and, the people listen to you, but all those people as well. So like I said, it's kind of grown and gotten bigger. Though part of it also is based on, as you say, the Pirates, and when they're not playing well, you tend to see less people show up naturally. But yeah, like I said, it was like a really cool idea and I love doing it for that fact.
So do you think, like you were talking about those tangibles of being able to spark a conversation with somebody on Twitter, do you think that's kind of how you got inspired to do the Pod Hub Network? Because you're starting to meet these people who they have their own voice and they started their own podcasts. Do you think that's where the origin of Pod Hub came from? Like the original thought, like obviously there's probably more to it, but the original thought.
Actually, the original thought did come before that all that stuff happened.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna lie, that didn't spark it even further. Okay. By trade, I've always been one to like I've always wanted to help and do things. Like honestly, I went to Sleepy Rock for IT because like that was the hot thing to do.
Yeah.
There was money. But what I actually really wanted to, like when I was in high school, what I actually wanted to do was be a teacher. Like that was like the thing. Like I want to be a teacher. I want to teach kids, help kids, stuff like that. Like that part has like been my nature for a while. And like with me doing the podcast, as mentioned, the closer is pretty trash. I've gone through a lot. Like I've seen the mistakes you make, like I've learned some of the stuff to do, and I'm nowhere near perfect by any means now, still growing. But it's like, I feel like I can offer a lot to help people out. And like, as you mentioned with Around the 412, we kind of helped them out a little bit. They had the idea that they were at our podcast as well. We bounced off some things. I've always been like open, like, hey, whatever help you need, let me know. I'm there to help you out. But that's honestly, I think where it really sped up because I'm like, now we're helping them. We're doing things. It's like, why are all these podcasts out there really trying to compete against each other when we all could just
help each other
with each other? Like, why don't we all join, help each other out, and grow together instead of trying to, put each other one down and try to shine brighter.
Yeah.
So that was really, like I said, we really started to go, build energy, and Geddes and I both were really going the route. We had ideas, but nothing was ever like materialized until we started bringing on some other people. We have Tom, our friend we call Herman. His actual name is Brian, much like myself. And it's funny because is this a Western Pennsylvania thing? And I swear it is. All my life I was growing up, I was referred to as DiNardo. My name's Anthony, in case anyone listening to this knows. They probably don't. I think everyone on Twitter, everyone calls me DiNardo as well. Ryan made that a point, but it's like, I feel like it's a Western Pennsylvania thing because no one down here is referred by their last name.
Yeah, no, I think it's a Northern thing, actually.
It's just Northern? Okay.
Yeah, because like people call me Coleman. I mean, now they call me Toes, thanks to my friends. But if they don't know that story, they call me Coleman. And it's like, isn't it easier to say Cody? Like,
that's the part too. I mean, Anthony and DiNardo is the same, but like you have a friend named Al. His last name's like 14 syllables. You'll say the 14 syllable names. Like you can't even go by, well, this is easier to say. So, and I've picked up on that. It's one of the things I feel like so on the network, there's two of us from the Pittsburgh area, myself, again, DiNardo, and my friend Brian, who's called Herman. We just call Herman. So the two people from Western Pennsylvania called by the last name, and then it's Tong and Geddes. It's their first names. So, But yeah, we brought them in
cool.
together, and it's like we got this actual idea, like concrete, and move forward with it. So yeah, that's kind of like, I guess, where that all sparked and came from.
Okay, so now let's talk about the development of Pod Hub. What is, like you kind of said, like the purpose was to bring everybody together and help each other. What I'm trying to think, like, what is the goal of it other than that? What are you trying to gain from it, I guess, if anything?
Sure. It's weird you say that because I feel like it's ever transitioning. The podcasting world, and I'm sure you can attest this as well. It's very wild, wild west.
Yes.
There's no rules. There's no structure. There's nothing. Like, the podcasters, the creators themselves, like you and I, we're learning every day on our own just to do this itself. So like as a business mindset, as a business model and aspect, it's still like nothing set. Like you don't say, okay, I'm gonna do a podcast and it's laid out and here's what you have to do, right? You don't know. You just kind of vibe and go with it and see what works and what doesn't, and so like I feel like with the network itself, it's ever changing, ever evolving. We're, I guess, a little peek behind the curtains. I'm not sure if the others will appreciate this now or not. We're kind of in the middle of a rebrand.
Ooh, nice.
I hope I don't get yelled at for this. When's this releasing? It's not right now, right? It's in a few weeks.
It'll be in 2 weeks.
Okay, so still might be a little early, but oh well.
Hey, I'll take the tea. I'll take the tea when you.
They'll take it out of my paycheck. So, yeah. So like we're kind of in the middle of a rebrand. Like I said, we're just kind of ever changing, but still, like the main goal and focus has always been like the creators, helping them out, such like that. For example, to plug someone. Helmet Hair, Jordan.
Yeah.
Very, very new podcast. So like I look at that and say, okay, listen, I know the struggles you're going through. What can we do to help eliminate those? Right? Like how can I get you past years 2 and 3 with me, right? Making all those and get you right into year 4. So again, that's kind of like where the idea of this is.
It's a pretty awesome concept. I remember whenever Smitty had introduced me to you and Ryan, that was like the one thing I wanted to talk about because I was starting a podcast at the time as well.
Right.
Like, how can I be a part of this? Like, I didn't even know what it was, but I was like, this sounds pretty big. I need to be a part of it. So
yeah.
Really cool.
And like the other thing too about it, I feel, is like the idea of this, which we hold true, is you see like networks out there. This might hit close to home right now, but you see networks out there and a lot of them target like a podcast per demographic. Like they try to hit. So I'll just say like whether it's like a baseball podcast network, right? Okay, we need our Pirates one, we need our Mets one, we need our Phillies one. So they get a podcast from every market, right? And that's cool. That's great. Kudos everyone. But how do they help each other grow?
Yeah.
Me as a Pirates fan, I'll consume the Pirates podcast, right? But am I really interested in the Mets one? Probably not. I'm not a Mets fan. So like, how are you going to get like organic growth amongst the network with themselves? So that's what the idea of the Pod Hub network was. It's not that it's sports based. It's nothing based. It's regional based, more city based. Me as a Pirates fan, I might listen to North Shore 9, but you know what? I might have some interest in, some politics and such. And I see this podcast, The Working Stiffs. I got interest in that. And now I can, feed off of them. And that again, like that's how we all grow together. Yeah. So, that's really like the primary thought and process of this. I didn't like, we have been approached by a few networks. I just don't like it because it just feels to me like we just want you to be part of us and siphon money to us. Yeah. We're going to use you. Like, what are they going to do for me? I don't really see much in that. So like I said, like with the Pod Hub network, that's kind of what we're looking into. It's not a specific based topic and such. It's all mixed. It's just based on the city. And that's where we'll probably find, common interest. Think of it like Netflix.
Yeah.
You're scrolling around and you see this one, you see this show, you see that show, you get caught up and now you find out it's 40 hours later, you're still on the couch, except you listen to podcasts.
That's a pretty cool way to think about it. Because you're absolutely right. Like if you're listening to your show and then you say, oh, like just to reiterate what you said, like, oh, there's somebody talking about politics or somebody talking about like lifestyle on this platform that relates to me, I'm absolutely going to listen to that. So it's a really good way to put it. Now, to get back specifically to your podcast, North Shore 9, Ryan recently left.
He did, that bastard.
So what has it been like adapting to a show without him?
I'm not going to lie. It's been weird.
Yeah.
For the fact that it's been 4 years, the North Shore 9 has gone on with Ryan and DiNardo. We had like his farewell show, and I'm not gonna say it was emotional in the sense, but we opened up a little bit about it. And when you thought of the North Shore 9, you thought of DiNardo and Ryan, I felt like. So he and we go back. Everything I've mentioned here, I mean, he's graduated with me from Shenango. We were friends way back when. We still joke about our fantasy baseball trades we make in study hall, in the computer lab. So we go way back, we started this together. So like with him not being part of it, it's really weird. And how many times we bounce ideas off each other. I'm always at Ryan. Like I'm always getting ideas. I always joke. He's the one that always held me back and put me in check. Cause like in a week's time, I'd probably have like 13 ideas, 13 like changes to something. He'd be like, why don't you just chill before you put it out? Let's think of it. You know what I mean? Like I'm the one ready to go, fired up. And then like 13 minutes later, decide that was actually a pretty bad idea. Thanks, Ryan. So like I said, it's been a bit of a change, but we did bring on a few people before he left, which he won't admit it, but I know he strategically did it. I know where the gears are going. Yeah. That's why. But we brought on Tyler and Jim. Tyler was actually part of DiNardo's Nugget as well. So what I'll say is we've had that rapport going on for a little bit. We brought on Jim Rosati as well, who's the Northside Notch. Now, he and I have never like done a show before that happened, but we did like go back and forth on Twitter and such a little bit. We knew of each other. He would join the streams, like you mentioned. He would join like the live streams, we'd chat on there. So there's like a little bit of rapport. But through the time that like Ryan was basically seeing himself out, we started building rapport. So now, like I said, it's different. It's definitely a different landscape. And as a matter of fact, now that we have more people on, we've been doing a lot more, other than it being just like a weekly podcast. And then we would do like the NS9 Live bi-weekly. Now we got a show we still have the weekly one on Sunday. We have a show on Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, every Thursday nights now, NS9 Live. So we're definitely getting more content out there now. And like I said, it's different, but it's the same. I love it. And I think we're growing. So actually, Ryan leaving is probably the best thing because we're getting bigger. So
wow.
F you,
Shots fired.
He knows where he stands, though.
All right. So to round this out, where do you see the future for both NS9 and PodHub?
Hopefully, a lot of money, which doesn't exist. So that's the other thing. So if you are into podcasting, if podcasting is something you want to do, don't let it be for the money because it's not there. So this better be a true passion project for you if you want a podcast, because don't think you're going to hop up on here, get sponsors, have ESPN reach out to you and blow up. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of work. What do I see? I mean, I don't know. I don't have any true expectations. I will say, I mean, there's a clear fire in me. Like, I know where I really want to go. I'm kind of taking a second here just because I'm usually soft-spoken, but there's things that fire me up. And you know what? Screw it. Let's just say it. I mean, that's really why the North Shore 9 also started as well. It started because of people in Pittsburgh media that really pissed us off.
Absolutely.
And I felt like we need to have a voice in that sense. We're tired of like yelling and going back and forth on a personal account. So it's like, why don't we start something and really go at it? Pittsburgh, there's a lot of shitty Pittsburgh media people. And on top of that, I feel I can, and here we go, it's going to gloat a little bit. I can blow a lot of them out the water with stuff that we do production-wise. And I think it's showing. It still blows my mind how terrible a lot of these people's shows are produced or just done. So I want to show like that's what we can do with North Shore 9. So yeah, I want to definitely do something with this. We're definitely growing. But yeah, like in a few years, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where we get.
Yeah. And I mean, I can attest to your, what would you say? Your anger toward
Yeah, and it's
local.
not really anger, and it's funny. I am a very competitive person at things.
Yeah.
Like that is in me. And by no means am I comparing myself to Michael Jordan, but I get, trust me, I get and understand making things up about the other person to fire you up. Like I use a lot of stuff for motivation, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to say. So inside, I have my motivation right now with things, and that's what it is. And I'm, internally trying to demolish people. And that's what I need. And that's what I go off. That is what fuels me. So I get that. So that's kind of where I'm coming at here.
And I mean, I think you have people that are fighting the same fight you are. Like after talking with Around the 412, they have the same opinion about local people in media. Like they're just not getting it. And some of them, this is my own frustration, some of them aren't even from Pittsburgh, and they don't know. Like they don't know what's going on in the streets. They don't know what the fans are talking about. They don't know what's important to the fans.
Yeah.
But they're still allowed to go on the air for 10 plus years and talk about whatever they want. So that's
I'm sitting here in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah, no. But you're from the
area. But no, I mean, I get it. And like part of it too, I just want to say is like, I mean, with the North Shore, like what I've always wanted to do as well, like I want to have fun. Like obviously on Twitter, it's mainly about fun. Like the show is a little bit different. The show's gonna be more informative. Like when we get on here and talk, still want to make it entertaining, of course. But I've always felt, I mean, for one, because we are baseball, make baseball great again, right? Because it's so boring. Hey, me, the sixth grader who quit because of how boring it was. I get that.
Exactly.
So that's why I always felt like I want to make it a point. Let's have fun. Let's joke, all this, but definitely a time to get serious. But part of that is serious. Like I'm making a point to do that. Yeah. But yeah, like I just feel it's so much kayfabe, like in Pittsburgh sports media, and God, like go back and forth a lot too. Like just I can't respect people who don't have like any intellectual integrity. When you're saying stuff off the wall just to divide, just to get a reaction, just to do this, I can't respect that. We can have fun, we can create things, we can go back and forth on things and have fun, but like my opinions, my thoughts, it's going to be true. And, that's what I assume that's what you want when you're listening to a podcast as well. Definitely a podcast. Like sports radio, I kind of get, and it is what it is. Like when listening to podcasts, listen because you want actual information and stuff. So I just like, why can't two things be true? Like, why can't you be entertaining, but also give information? So that's really what I'm trying to do here.
So
what you're trying to do here.
Yeah. So that actually brings up a question that I just thought of. Do you feel like Pittsburgh sports media is like the radio aspect, like sports radio versus sports podcasting? Like, are we going head to head? Because I know there was, I think it was a few months back where people were going after Mark Madden in our community.
Yeah. I mean, Mark Madden's obviously the clear one.
Yeah, but Mark Madden's Mark Madden. Like he's good.
Yeah, and that's why I want to say too, like Mark Madden's very good at what he does. I will not take the bat. Like when people say Mark Madden's trash, I don't really buy into that totally. He's probably not the best person in the world in my mind. That's my opinion. But he knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
he does that well.
He had a career in the WWE. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's playing a character.
So and that's just the thing. Like my thing with that is, why can't people see that? The guy came from WWE and he's over in sport. Like it's one thing to be entertained by him, but like I'm just so tired of people using what he says to like make my opinion wrong. Like it validates him. Well, Mark Madden said that doesn't mean shit.
Yeah,
like the fact that you're saying Mark Madden said just takes away everything you're mentioning about that opinion. But regardless, anyways, I digress. The whole like podcast first, I guess sports radio, kind of to agree, but I don't really think that because I think there's other like sports media out there that isn't totally just podcast either in that sense. Yeah. But I do feel that there is like this internal like Pittsburgh media, if you want to encompass all types of media, battle. So there definitely is. And some are fired and fueled by it a little bit, I will say. But there's definitely. But I will say this too, it's not just Pittsburgh. I mean, just like anything, like just every team. It's not just your team. It's everywhere. It really is. It's just that's the environment you're in. That's your echo chamber. So that's what you hear. It's definitely everywhere.
Gotcha. Well, all right. I just gotta say, even saying Mark Madden's name feels like you're saying Voldemort or something. Like my skin like cringes. But anyway, to get out of this, thank you, DiNardo. I really appreciate everything you've done for our podcasting community in Pittsburgh, and I appreciate you for coming on to my show.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. I'll definitely come on any other time you need. And then just to say last thing too, like if anyone is watching this and they're interested in starting a podcast or something, I mean, feel free to reach out. Pod Hub Network, North Shore 9. You can reach me anywhere. I pretty much run both accounts. You know, like I said, I have no problem helping anyone out.
All right. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Yep.